Good day, friends. I'm actually not sure if you can see me yet. I hope you can see me. But Robert Blaine, my biggest fan. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I did not have an introduction video to set. So when I hit go live, I don't think I did this right. But here's the deal. If y'all can see me, if y'all can hear me, Robert Blaine or Patrick, y'all holler. Leave something in the comments if you can hear me, because your girl here, it's cold. It's cold outside. So we're just rocking the Simply hoodie. Good to go. I love it. Thanks, y'all. Anil, my brother. To you, fam. I actually had this set up for me because Cassie's not used to going live. Cassie did not set this up. Cassie did not know if it played an intro video. Normally it plays an intro video, but by the time I hit go live, it said, get your intro video ready. And so I'm going to be the intro video today. Maybe Jordan, our incredibly talented videographer, can go add an intro video later for those of you who are not joining me live today. Maybe he can chop this up. But here's the deal. The comp queen, that's me. Here's the deal. My partner's away, so I'm here to play. And I don't do lives. It's always set up for me. I'm spoiled rotten. I know this. Yeah, so that's the end of that story. Today I am here. Today I am here to pour into you how to comp in less than 5 minutes. Have no fear, this video will be longer than 5 minutes. I'm a talker, if you didn't know it. Look, guys, here's the deal. I say here's the deal a lot. I am extremely experienced. If you're new here, I'm extremely experienced in teaching people how to comp and underwrite while on the phone with the seller. I'm extremely experienced in simplifying this process for people because it is a complicated process. As we teach in Titanium University, it is an art and a science, okay? And the way that I typically teach to comp and underwrite goes fairly hand in hand, as well as with like our sales process, the King Closers formula. We have a lot of resources in this arena without diving in to the deep waters of becoming an expert in this. There is a way to shorten this process. There is a way that you can do it in less than 5 minutes. And I'm going to display that just on the comping side of things today. And we might even practice a couple. If any of you are comfortable with seeing a 5-minute comp process on maybe one of your deals, I might call on you later on in the show today. So stick around. There is a very condensed and simplified version of doing this so that you are able to accurately assess a range for a property, so that you're accurately able to get numbers and get a feel without having to dive in to the deep details, spend 30 minutes comping. And a lot of people struggle with this. I say it's the hardest thing that we teach. Always has been and fairly likely always will be. We have a lot of experience doing this nationally in any kind of market, which does present an even further challenge. And so going through everything that we've gone through in the course of our business, in the course of our training programs, it really has led to a skill set, an ability to do this so fast. And look, I am very well aware that a lot of times people give a lot of pushback. They're like, well, Cassie, you've comped 150,000 properties in your lifetime, so of course you're so fast at this. How do I become as good as you without having to go through all of that before I am? And the answer is it's training. You know, you've got to get trained up on this stuff, guys. You're not going to be able to do, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw the gauntlet down here. And I'm usually don't go so hard on our, you know, industry or the industry of people who teach you how to do this. I see it so much in the comments. Titanium University members get in and then they start to realize through the training, like, why their deals have not been working out. And it all has to do with the comping and underwriting process. Here's the deal. The MAO formula does not work on all properties or in all markets, even if you're really good at that. If you've taken titanium profits training, even and you're not in Titanium University, you'll know, because I have a video showing you and proving to you that that doesn't work. It's not a good recipe for success, if you will. Certainly the people who teach you that you should just offer 50% of Zestimate or the combination of many things. Look, those are people who have maybe a much smaller pool of comps that they're able to apply that to, and they're trying to give you a shortcut. And I understand it, because this is not easy to teach and it's not easy to learn on day one. You're going to have to put the time, you're going to have to put the effort, and you're going to have to put the work in. And so understanding the real estate market, you're not just understanding state or a city or a local market, you're understanding your subject property and then what the demands are for that subject property in its current condition, as well as a potentially remodeled condition. You're also trying to understand what kind of equity and cash flow would be applicable if you are running it as a buy and hold. And that is not something you're going to learn on day one. So yeah, there's people that try to put easy buttons out there that may cover, you know, a certain percentage of properties. Now, y'all, if you got children in the room, I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1 to put earmuffs on those children. I was not taught by my mama to do half-ass bullshit. Okay? And that's what she called it as I was growing up. I believe there's a much better way. I know there's a much better way. And yes, it does take training. Yes, it does take time. But I have spent years and years and years of my career really trying to hone this down into a simplified process, right? So today, I'm going to show you what that process looks like with just the comping, okay? And like I said, if you stick around, I may even pull up one of your deals for you. Can every property be comped in 5 minutes or less? Sometimes that's just not going to be the case, guys. It's really not. Not even for me, who can probably do this in 2 minutes most of the time. And I mean to tell you, I don't do it in 2 minutes when I'm teaching and talking through it and slowing things down for you, simply because you wouldn't be able to keep up. It would not be an engaging and entertaining video. It would not be very educational because you wouldn't be able to see me for lack of being able to keep up with my clicks, right? So I want to preface that. Last time I did a video for this, people were like, I love how this is like 3 hours long and it's supposed to be in 4 minutes. Listen, y'all. If you really wanted me to go on here for 5 minutes and be like, thanks, Kay, bye. I mean, I could do that, but let's not be petty in the comments, okay? I'm here to give you skills for free. For free. Did I say for free? I'm here to give you skills for free that a lot of people really, really need in our industry. Like, I am extremely passionate about this part of educating people in this industry because Frankly, it is the lifeblood of every deal. Even if you're not a wholesaler, it is the lifeblood of every deal. We do teach you to comp similar to an appraiser from the perspective of an end buyer, because that's where the numbers need to be. You have to be looking at it from that perspective. We teach you how to underwrite from that perspective. We have condensed it down. We actually do this, our whole team. This is not just something Cassie does exclusively. This is not something RJ does exclusively. And this is not something that just people on our team do exclusively. You know, Titanium University members do this all day long while on the phone with sellers. Maybe not all of them, because some of them are still working on this skill set. This is not something I expect you guys to be able to practice in 24 hours. You're going to be a master level comper, but you've got to work on it and get there. It's just part of the game, right? And if you really want to get to the point where you're achieving a high level of your, you know, goals in this industry, this is something that this day and age, you've got to be able to do faster. Now, you might say to me, Cassie, I have been a fix and flip investor. I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never had to be able to do this in 5 minutes or less. I'm able to take time. I can call my realtor. I can do this. Oh, good for you. But I'm going to tell you right now, the amount of people that are using technology to be able to do this in a much faster way than you, I can promise you, you're losing deals. And that might be okay for your business model. Okay. I can tell you, you're going to lose deals. I also have like a huge passion for teaching this, because God bless our souls in this industry. I see so many deals that are so poorly comped and underwritten come across my desktop that on the daily. And I'm not talking about from, you know, Titanium University. I'm talking about from the world outside of the titanium world. And they just don't know. They just, you know, they're trying to use one of those easy buttons. They're trying to not overcomplicate it, but they're severely hurting themselves, as well as the entire process, as well as the seller, because they don't know that they're locking up, you know, a contract at a price that's not going to close at. So the last thing I'll say about this is, before I dive into one that I just randomly chose, so who knows if it's going to be any good. Hopefully. Look, I do this organically. I do this on the spot. And while I may not get into underwriting on this video, I encourage you guys to get the web formula if you can, get Titanium Profits and the King Closers formula, because they go hand in hand. Comping and underwriting is a part of the acquisitions process, but it's also a part of the recon process, or what we call, you know, the phase in which you're boots on the ground or getting photos or you're walking the property. You've got to reanalyze the property. You've got to re-underwrite it. And you've got to make sure that you're dealing with your comps properly, right? So if you set your rehab number, you know, during recon, and then you go and your comps all say that it's going to be, you know, a $300,000 ARV, does your rehab turn that property into a $300,000 property according to, will it look like the comps? Will it sell like the comps on the market? And a lot of people screw that up. Comping and underwriting is a part of the dispositions process, because where a lot of people also screw up is they end up putting in a wholesale fee that also all of a sudden does not make that deal a deal, and then they wonder why their deal is moving. So I won't cover that extensively in this particular video, because this is focusing on that process to comp quickly, understand the numbers quickly, etc. But I want you guys to just really, I want to drive home the point, like, this realistically is the foundation of everything you're going to do in your business, particularly as a wholesaler. You do need to understand how to underwrite it from the perspective of where an end buyer is going to buy. You're going to keep your thumb on numbers throughout the entire process. You're going to be able to build that bridge. But first and foremost, you have to comp it realistically with actual comparable properties, okay? So I know some of you probably aren't new here, and some of this is information you've heard from these lips to your ears before. However, it's extremely, I'm extremely passionate about changing the trajectory of this industry. And I do say that very intentionally that way, through getting my hands on more people to get them, just better learned up, to get them, to get the skill sets of this industry up. So that might not, be your mission for being here, but it's my mission for being here. And I hope that mission, does have a solid positive impact on your business and on your skill set. So that's why I'm doing it. I love y'all. I mean it. Oh, Kip, it's so good to see you. Oh, I've got so many. Hi from Georgia. Hi from Texas. It's cold in Texas today, let me tell you. It's supposed to be like 26 degrees tomorrow. Robert Blaine in the building. Whoop, whoop. When it comes to new construction, how do you guys use your profit calculator? Hey, I that is pretty much ARV and rehab. I don't really use it for that very often because I usually am comping land when it comes to new construction, because I think people screw that up a lot. We more go off the land value and a zero rehab usually. To you, fam, my brother, Mr. Nick Robbins. Stephanie, my sister. Yay! Do we have a separate profit? No, we don't. Look, guys, I'm probably not going to get too much into the profit calculator on this video. I'll answer those questions really fast. The market value with zero rehab is the ARV on a piece of land, right? Is, you still have closing costs and holding costs. But land comping, man, we just are getting a ton of people who are trying to go after land lately and just really asking a lot about, vacant land and how you comp it and how you underwrite it. And the truth is you comp it with vacant land. You don't necessarily, you can have a lot of different exits with vacant land. And so typically speaking, what we're going to do is end up for ARV, it's just market value of that land, closing, holding cost for your end buyer on the profit calculator, purchase price, wholesale fee. But you have to be careful about comping for vacant land. And here's why. That most investor buyers on most land properties in the country are going to buy it at an even further discounted rate. So you've really got to make sure to dig into the comps a little bit more. You don't want to be locking something up that has an on-market land value that's selling for $30,000 and lock it up at $25,000, and then you're trying to add a wholesale fee because people don't pay attention to the days on market when it comes to vacant land very well. So vacant land can have a lot of different exits. So to answer the earlier question, do we have new construction? Zach Smith, new construction. Sorry, hello from Rochester, New York, 16 degrees. Peter, Oof. Wind chill of 2 degrees. Yeah, I'm not jealous of that. I mean, I literally this morning I'm like, it's raining, it's freezing. Um, I have not tried to comp with Chat GPT. That sounds like a bad plan to me, but I'm here to test out any you can comp you I will stand up to any AI when it comes to comping and test that. And I still am probably going to it'll probably be a long time before AI is going to convince me that that's the way to comp, but I'm now very interested in trying that. Maybe we should do that live next week with our friends over there at Speed to Lead, because I don't know which one of you is comping or which one of you is tried using Chat GPT. It takes data from Zillow, so not very accurate. Yeah. Again, like I understand that for some people the easy button's gonna work, but I'm here to be teaching a different narrative. Zillow's not gonna like ever replace truly underwriting and comping like an end buyer is going to, right? And like algorithms will never replace that. And while sometimes they can be accurate, and I will not deny that, it is not, hope is not a strategy, my friends. You're much better off learning how to do this. And I'm here to teach you how to differentiate those details. But I've never been able to count on algorithms as being fail-proof, even, half of the time. So back to Zach's question. When it comes to comping or underwriting new construction, typically speaking, you have to know so much more details about, you could build different size houses in that on that lot. So you would have to really underwrite for different houses. You'd have to really know the local cost to build, the permits, is there water and electric, all those kinds of things. So for me, the faster way to do that is just see where people are buying lots for new construction. Like look for the lot price, comp that instead of trying to tell your end buyer what they're going to build on it. Look at what they're buying it at, because you're, number one, going to be a lot more accurate, and number two, you're going to really understand that builders, they may buy up a bunch of lots and it might take them a while to build on it, and then you're also going to understand that looks very different if you're the person who intends to occupy that property that's then going to go hire a builder. They may be willing to pay more. So you really got to kind of dig into what the actual lot is going to sell for, much less if you're trying to lock it up on a 30-day contract or less, and all of those lots that are listed on the MLS are selling in 397 days. Well, you've got yourself a problem there, because logistically speaking, you're not going to, be able to move it quickly. Sellers need to understand that if they want to move fast, like that motivation needs to be there, and it's going to reflect in that price if they're going to sell it to an investor. And otherwise, they might want to just list it at the market value price and let somebody buy it in the next year or so. So people forget about motivation a lot of times and the time frame it takes to move lots in those scenarios. So when it comes to getting your broker's or realtor's license, is there any status that allows you to get it without having to get sponsored by a brokerage? That would definitely vary from state to state, I would presume. So I don't really want to speak on that, but you can have an inactive license. Yeah. I also, here in the state of Texas, owned my LLC, and had a flat fee broker and was active, but not 100% sure. Like, I don't know of anywhere off the top of my head where an active status does not come with responsibility or with being in a brokerage. But I don't know it all. That's not actually that's the first time I've been ever asked that question, to be honest with you. I get asked a lot of questions about that stuff. Source infill lots, DFW. You base your lot buy price based on new construction home sales. I mean, that could work, Zach. I don't think that that's like a fail-proof situation, but like 10 to 20% can be a big differential. Depending on the price of the new construction sale. So I would still recommend at least trying to, I mean, DFW is a little bit easier probably, depending on what part of it. If you're in like one of the more populated, densely populated areas, probably has a better chance of succeeding and not falling short without just comping the actual lots. But sometimes, you would almost have to run numbers both ways, maybe here in DFW. If it's an area that doesn't have a lot of new construction. So, I mean, I know that that's a percentage, that's a formula, if you will, that would probably work fairly well. But 10 to 20% is like a big difference depending on the price of that new construction. Land acquisition specialists are rarely going to give you a price because there's too many variables. They're just going to say, send me what you have. You got to do research to see what they're buying. Yep. First time you're here, do you comp while you're on the phone, or is that something that you have to do before you get? Absolutely, we do not, Carlos. Welcome to our channel. I'm so glad you're here. We do not comp we do not comp before calling the seller, and we do not recommend comping before you call the seller at all. We don't. We comp while we are on the phone with the seller. Definitely take a look at any of the free materials in the show notes here. The closer's formula. This is absolutely all done while on the phone with the seller. Zach, thank you for the info. You and RJ, thanks. You're amazing too. Thanks for joining us. Should you hire cold callers after the first? I don't know what. No, that is a very broad question. That is more than likely the answer is gonna be a big fat no. I have no idea what your lead sources are, but I'm sure some people have done that successfully, but I definitely don't recommend that after doing one deal. What do you have to do to work for us? Well, what position are you applying for, Dustin? I would need to know that. But you're talking to the right gal, because I definitely am what would you call it? I'm the one that you would have to get through to find a dispositions or acquisitions for our wholesale team. Are you in DFW? I don't know if you want to work for us. I'm kind of a hard ass. We are currently, and have for a very long time, only hired local. You work for a national wholesaler and he disappeared. I'm sorry to hear that. Army guy, I love that. I would like to learn how to do acquisitions or dispo. You're in New Jersey. Carlos, you would be looking for that link where it's in the show notes. That's where we teach people acquisitions or dispositions. Titanium U. And Dustin, yeah, I haven't had anybody convince me yet that they should work remotely for us as an acquisitions or dispositions person. You're trying to build a family business just like us? Well, you've come to the right place, my friend. Justin, you aren't running this show. Get out of here. I'll move. I like it. What you can do is you can email. Let's see if I can get this in here. This is not RJ's email. This is a group email that I've set up. Dustin, if you email that email, pitch me. Why should I hire you? And I'll get that email and we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk. Carlos, if again, titanium.com. Justin, I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm definitely going to get to the comping. Just so y'all know, it's really hard for me to read while I'm actually comping. So I just really want to make sure I don't lose the opportunity to get some questions, some Q&A in for people. Because when I do Q&A during or at the end of this, I can't read. And I end up with 100 comments that I'm trying to filter through. And that's just stressful for me. Love you, mean it. And yeah, we're going to get to some comping. So the first one, I want to tell you how I came up with this. Let me get this screen up in here. I typed in a zip code very close to where we are located, and I picked a random property. So in Texas, as you guys may or may not know, this is a non-disclosure state. So I picked a sold property. So I'm probably going to speed through some of those details, but I'm still going to include them only because I do normally go through them when I'm on the phone with the seller and I'm comping in under 5 minutes. I know that some of you are like, ooh, she has the profit calculator up. I may not use it. I just have it pulled up. Don't get too excited. We'll see how long it takes me to get through a few things on the show. So you're excited. Well, I appreciate that. If you don't know, we're kind of smart asses around here. I am surrounded by, as I love to say, pranksters and shit talkers all day long, and I'm by far the worst of both things. So, you know, I like to keep it fun, but I'm also like really bad at it. All right, so if you're new here, I'm excited to have you. I'm going to tell you the number one thing you need to do every time you get that seller on the phone is you're going to put that address and you're going to put it in Google, right? You're going to put that address in Google. You're going to put that address in your comp tool. I teach on PropStream. I'll get into why in a second. Put that address in Google. And then the next thing I like to do is go and open the Zillow. No, I do not comp on Zillow, but I will tell you why in a moment. So those are my first steps. I do that in like half a second, okay? Why do I teach on PropStream? Well, I know I'm not wearing my PropStream hoodie because it got confiscated by a former employee and never brought back. Sad day. PropStream, if you're here, send your girl a new hoodie. I should have brought my PropStream Stanley Cup today. We got one for Christmas. We felt very special. What I'll say is with PropStream, guys, you don't have to have this specific comp tool. You do not have to have it over Privy. You do not have to have it over Batch. Okay? Why do I teach on PropStream? I simply believe it is the best overall comp tool there is out there. And there's a lot of reasons I feel that way. I've taught a lot of people. Can you comp really well on Privy? And does Privy have things that PropStream doesn't that I love? Absolutely. One of those things is the photos from last solds, the new ones, and the photo from when the property was sold, and then the photo purchased, flipped, and then the new set of photos. I love that they have both of those on there. That is a really clutch feature that I do love on Privy. Privy also has by far the best rental comps in the industry for a comp tool. However, Privy takes longer to comp on. Okay, so if you ever not mastered that software, you've got to really mess with the filters to get it right. And like, that's just not how I'm going to teach people to comp in a few minutes or under. Now, my partner loves to comp on Privy. My partner is also like Rain Man with comping, right? He does a lot of the math in his head. He does a lot of, he basically sees the matrix very much similar to me. So if you're new, it's not something, and you're gonna go get a comp tool, or it's taking you a long time to comp, I would suggest definitely follow along on PropStream. Maybe learn to set your filters really quickly, the same way that PropStream does. You can absolutely do this on Batch and save those settings. And Batch does have a lot of photos, and you can set Batch up to work very similarly to PropStream. So as I'm going through this, I'm going to show you guys, why PropStream is faster, and then the things that I like better about it, because most of those things are the property details, mortgage and transaction history, and the linked properties. They just have way more data when it comes to that stuff, and I find it to be overall by far the best comp tool, even though some features in a couple of the other ones are killer. So here we go. Again, I picked a property in Texas because it's non-disclosure, and as y'all saw on this, price unknown, proving it's non-disclosure, proving also you can comp it on PropStream, because it's the question that a lot of people have. So pulled it up. First thing you do, Google Maps. I do a quick turn around the neighborhood. I'm looking at the property. I'm seeing if there's anything that sticks out to me. Man, this reminds me of a house that we used to own so much. It's not even funny. Just the colors and the builder probably. I don't see anything that sticks out to me drastically on this property compared to everything else in the neighborhood. The only thing I'm really noticing is it needs a paint job on the soffits and fascia, in my opinion, from Street View. That doesn't mean that this is the most current. This was in 2018, so that might not be the case anymore. You can see where it says 2018 right there. The next thing I do, I will normally go into MLS details right here, you guys, but I'm not doing that because I have no idea when this last sold. Maybe I should do it off screen, but I don't really want to give away the answer because I don't want to see what it was listed at. I want to look at comps. All right, we're going to get into the comps tab. You'll see linked properties, mortgage and transaction. You'll see that Open Door is the owner of this, which I did not know, and I may regret just randomly choosing a property without looking at that kind of stuff. I would assume if this closed in, well, we'll look at that later. They might be holding it. It might be a rental property. I don't really know. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm noting, there's a lot of comps here. There's 67. So I'm going to go boop, 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 0.25 miles. So I don't have to take the time to kind of cut out the properties that are in other subdivisions, etc. I might be missing a few comps like right here or right here, but for now, I've got a pretty good pool of properties. Second thing I'm seeing rent rates. That's what these are indicating. These were listed for rent. And so those are definitely not going to come into play, but it is helpful when underwriting for a buy and hold. You know that this property is very likely to rent around between those numbers. So you don't have to go elsewhere because those are MLS listed for rent rates. They're very consistent. So again, this is something that sometimes people fail to realize they're taking a lot of extra steps for when it's just right there in front of you on PropStream. So in this scenario, we obviously have MLS and public record. I do typically leave those both checked. And then I'm looking for very quickly consistent data, beds and bath. This property that's larger, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom. Square footage range is fairly drastic between 1,400 and 1,800. I might even nip and tuck that in a neighborhood like this. I'm going to tell you why later. Build years are consistent. Lot sizes, pretty consistent with the exception of that one. In a neighborhood like this, that can be a factor. And I see here that I have multiple subdivisions within this quarter mile, but I'm still not crossing major roads. I'm not tripping on it because I've got consistent everything else. So this is where another one of those things where I see people kind of, overthink it. Instead of just dive right into the comps and see what you get, right? So from there, I'm going to pick fairly quickly 6 comps. In this scenario, this has no numbers. Again, non-disclosure. So I've got 6 comps. Algorithm's telling me this on the 6 closest comps, right? We've got everything from a range of 270 all the way up to 335. We've got most of our comps sitting in that 275 range. And so I want to see if these are kind of not fully updated, if these are the comps that have been extremely updated. So I'm just going to click. I love it when people take pictures of the inside of their. So actually, sometimes in non-disclosure states, when you do that, those are not actually the most recent photos. So I'm going to get over here. And those do look like they're the most recent photos, at least, that are online and have been kind of updated. Y'all say hi to Justin. How close do they have to be considered a comp? Depends on the property. In this scenario, ADZ, they would need to be in this subdivision. You wouldn't want to go outside of this subdivision in order to try to cherry pick a comp at a different value. You have plenty of data telling you what houses in this submarket that are comps for this property, this is what they sell for. So if you pick a property that's even over here in Lake Crest Estates, and it has different numbers, they're not going to consider that a comp on the appraisal. And if you were to go up against an appraiser with that number, you would fail, and you would fail miserably. So if I keep scrolling down here, I'm not seeing a whole lot of properties selling in the 300s. And so I'm going to assume those are the exceptions and not the rules, and just check real quick 4-bedroom. I'm guessing that those are, again, the exceptions. So where a lot of people fail is they pick those 3 properties over the other however many there are. Let's just count really fast for the sake of me making my point and driving it home. You don't see me selecting the 236 that probably needs work or the 240 that probably needs work. I'm selecting the most consistent data that I have. I'm not selecting only the ones that are selling in the 300s, which is 3 properties, versus, let me make sure I got them all. I missed one. If you're going to select the only 3 the highest, you have to select the 3 lowest when you have this much data to go on, you guys. This is where I see people screw this up all of the stinking time. I did not even select them all, for crying out loud. Okay. So I've got 11 properties that are telling me that this is going to most likely sell in the 270s. Why am I going to go off of the properties that sold in the 300s? Not. Oh, I have this one selected. Sorry. I got 10 properties. I have 10 properties versus 3 properties. You know what I'm saying? Now, those 3 properties, I already determined one of them had 4 bedrooms, less square footage. You can sit there and dig into it. I'm not going to. Not while I'm on the phone with a seller. Not unless there's an objection. I'm going to look at these properties and go, okay, we're sitting at like 275 all day. And I'm not really going to deviate from that. While I'm on this phone with a seller, I'm going to start running my numbers exactly like this. Let's assume seller says it needs nothing. I mean, I'm just making up other numbers here. Because I don't have any idea what the rehab is. And I really just want to put it together on the calculator for y'all in a way that's going to work as a flip, even if it's a wholesale, right? If I was going to go buy this wholesale myself, since it is up in my hood, I definitely, this is where I would be looking at, right? Like, I'm not probably likely to go all in at $234,000 and take a risk on a property like that unless I'm going to make 35 grand, right? So, I mean, this is typically where people end up screwing up, is they will, actually, I did that wrong. I said 275. This is where people typically end up screwing up, is they want to end up just automatically assuming those 3 properties are going to be their ARV comps for their buyers, right? I would assume there's going to be something going on with them, like they have pools, outdoor kitchens, more bedrooms, more bathrooms, more square footage. At 164 a square foot, forgive me because I'm on RJ's computer, navigate this. 165 a square foot. And we are going at 1705. Yeah, we're solid at 275. We'd be solid at probably 280. So those are my initial numbers, and then I'm going to dig in to the actual property, okay? I'm going to dig in to the actual comps, and I'm going to click through them quickly when I'm on that phone with the seller. So let's just pause. Let's just take a minute, and I'm going to tell you guys that this is all based on data, okay? I assess, and I teach everybody to assess all of that data, come up with that number really fast, get it in their calculator. You know, you have your, I mean, if you're writing on a piece of paper, good for you. Titanium Profits, you should have a link in the, Lord Jesus, it's not expensive. I think it's probably worth more than what most people's, you know, entire education programs are costing, and it's not expensive. I mean, I really am trying to change the world. So get in there, get the training that comes with it, get the calculator, and just keep honing those skill sets. But I will tell you, I'm gonna put those numbers in on the phone with the seller before I'm even really looking at photos. The first thing I do is I look at that street view for a reason, because if there's a church, electric lines, a cemetery, commercial properties, if it's on a busy road, if it's like all these conditions that could impact its ability to sell at the same price on the market for your end buyer after they do the work and list it on the market, look, you don't want to be putting a higher ARV on it. You don't want to be putting an ARV on this saying it's 320, 325, 330 because you found 3 comps, when those are the exception, not the norm for this neighborhood, right? Without looking into it by any stretch of the imagination. Could my mind be changed? Very unlikely. Now, I say this to you guys for you to understand. The reason for that is, when I've done this a bajillion times, you know, if you go in there and you dig into those properties and they don't have pools and they don't have, you know, extreme outdoor kitchens and a mother-in-law suite or something that's bumping that value up, extra bedrooms, extra bathrooms, something is bumping that value up. But it is not the norm in that neighborhood, and your buyer is not going to want to take the risk that they're going to go get to list this for $50,000 higher. Something is not consistent there. So I initially want you guys to go in, get that consistent data, and that's your ARV until your mind is changed with facts, okay? You can take that time to dig in further, but that's how you comp quickly. Like, you understand the data, you understand the likelihood. It's a statistic. However you have to frame that in your mind, this is very unlikely to be a $330,000 ARV just because 3 of those say, and I'm pretty sure they were all on public records, not having listed it on the MLS. So they could have been misreported. They could have sold with another property. They could have been a refinance. Who knows? A refinance. Whatever that is, it's not the consistent or the most likely. That doesn't mean that it's never the case. That just means your initial set of data, you're at 275 on this all day. At 280, I could totally justify because the price per square foot. It's not going to make that big of a difference when you really run the true numbers. Again, I'm not going to get into the rehab on this because we're focusing in on really understanding the steps of those comps and how you do it quickly. And where I see a lot of people screw up is they'll take those first 3 to 6 comp properties, and that they won't just go in and focus on the 300 and up. They're going to go ahead and expand, you know, beyond this subdivision. Or like in this scenario, oh my goodness, my nose itches so bad. They're going to be like, well, what if there's one that's sold for 300 here? Let's just go ahead and do that. Okay. Let's just prove a point. Let's just go half a mile out. Okay. this is technically divided. But it is Marine Creek. But I'm not going over into that subdivision for the sake of this exercise. I'm going to try to very much do this with no divisions outside of these. This very clear, no major streets. We're not crossing over the creek. Again, I know that says Marine Creek Hills. It's probably maybe a newer subdivision. I don't know. It might be applicable. But what I do know is I don't need it. And part of the reason I don't do this normally is because it just takes a long time. While I'm on lives. But I don't think I've ever shown this for y'all before. Because it takes so long. I probably left a couple of houses out potentially. We're gonna survive. Why not 280? Oh my goodness. See, this is why I'm pausing. Do they have to be within 0.25 miles? No, they don't. But sometimes it's just gonna clear out a bunch of data you don't really need to look at. I mean, I normally only look at like the first 10 or 15. We just have a whole ton of them right here in this subdivision. You know what I'm saying? In the past year. If anything, you could do this and then go past 6 months instead. And this kind, I don't normally recommend this, honest to goodness. How much is our subject property? 1705, but we'll do it for this exercise to see if we get more. 17. Let's just see what the results are comping it like that. Even though I can almost guarantee you're very unlikely to come up with like a drastically different number. Okay. This is also not the kind of subdivision like where you're trying to, get something HGTV ready or show home ready if you're the end buyer. And the reason why I say that is because it's probably not going to make the most sense. And I'll get into that a little bit more. See, here's the issue with your filters. You could say 290, but look, it's not 290. You still have the same price per square foot, right? Oof, you're starting to see there's a 2021 that creeped in there, which is a difference in this case. Like that is not going to be. I want to make sure that wasn't in there. Yeah. So this is the other thing, you guys. The average sales price on your filters just went up because you changed those filters. Okay, in the square footage and the ones that you chose, but you still have the same price per square foot. Now you still have to go do that same math and you're still going to get 280. And this is kind of where people screw up. Mind you, this is all happening before even getting into the property, but that's why I prefer the previous method versus I'm going to go ahead and draw this map and be super specific and tighten up my filters. Now, if I go back here and I go boop, 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 whatever I was, February 18th, 2024, and I get back out here, we'll see what that does. If it was on this comp, if it was the year, because originally This is always going to go a year, always going to filter be within a half a mile, and always going to be in a certain square footage range. I just went and tightened up the year. I went and tightened up the square footage. And what a lot of times people do is they start to over filter to try to get those perfect comps. And you're really not actually getting your numbers changed, but it might change your perception of the numbers and what you actually look into on the real estate, on the comps. How do you comp in a non-disclosure state like Kansas? The same way you comp in any other non-disclosure state. Kansas is a pain in the butt, though, when you start to get outside of the major cities, for sure. Do you need to look at recently sold or actives? I do often. I don't really need to in this one. But let's just tickle your fancy. And see what they say. How do you comp in a rural area that you can't find recent sales? No. Like baby Queen City. That does not sound like a deal. That sounds like a town of 10 people, or you have a comp tool issue or filter issue. You are overdoing it. Okay, so this question is like, whatever you're comping against, you're not there. A commercial kitchen is not likely to add value to an area. So you're either going to remodel down, or they're just going to have over improved their property for what the market demands. And here's why I say that. You're not going to make the house more valuable by having a Viking fridge. You're not going to make the neighborhood comp better by having a commercial grade kitchen. People don't want to spend $500,000 in a $300,000 or maybe $400,000 neighborhood. You know, that's not an investor is not going to invest in a used Viking fridge being in that house, or a commercial kitchen being in that house. And if it's not in like a good way, well, then you just account for a kitchen remodel. So our 1 year comps, I know Florida is because of, okay. I don't want to say this wrong, so I'm going to say it just like the car, Audi. That is because they had a natural disaster, so the market drastically changed. I very rarely have to go change that to be within the past 3 months. Okay, so back to your question, Justin, regarding the actives. Okay, so on this MLS, 753 days on market, priced at $315. That just proves my point and what happens when you don't comp right. That's why you're not going to convince an investor to price something at $315 or over $300 in this neighborhood. I don't even need to look into why. So that's data. That's useful information. 2 freaking years. God, I hope that's not accurate. And it's just ridiculous. You can go look at this property, obviously not this property, or this one. You could possibly see why this one's pending. Let's just, it's a different style, and maybe, sorry. There's a bunny in this office, and she's so cute. And every time she moves, I forget that there's another creature in this office with us. She's so quiet. I would assume that they probably listed this against its competitors that had nicer countertops and floors, potentially. And then they had to just, do repairs, or they stigmatized the property, etc. And that's why it's sold down here. Because I don't necessarily think that when we look into the other properties that are selling in that 280 range, but here we are again. These houses are like a 2-story, 2.5 bath. They have an extra half bath against our subject property. So these might be actually selling for a little bit higher. The flooring in this house, in this price point, in this kind of neighborhood really helps. This bad boy is clean. No carpet, an additional little something out here in the patio. Yeah, we're in good shape on this property. However, I'm not living that for an exact comp, and I can guarantee you that we're going to be looking at the same exact thing. Let's see what happens. 161. So, for all of you that are asking about like the actives and going a year, it is because of the nature of this location, this subject property, that with data that's as consistent over the past year as it is, you are able to make a fairly educated guess that we're Gucci. You don't gotta like over dig into a lot of stuff. You don't have to overthink it. And this is one of those things why I really wanted to come on here and just do one of these updates, because yes, there are comp guardrails, there are comp guidelines, and all of these questions you guys are asking are so legitimate. They're so legitimate. But actually, I wouldn't even go so far as to need to overanalyze all of those things by the difference of $5,000 in this scenario. Say you put in 280. Okay, let's just go back over to my little calculator. 280. Okay, and let's just say the property actually needs paint and floors and countertops in the kitchen or something like that to bring in 285. Let's get crazy. You're probably going to put a little bit more into it. You know what I'm saying? We've got 1,700 square feet, roughly. Notice how I'm not getting too hung up on the details, because I'm trying to just land in a range that's going to make sense at the end of the day. Changing it by $500 is not going to make the biggest difference in the dang old world. And I'm going to show you guys why. And this is why I didn't. I'm going to go 3, blah, blah, blah. Let's get a little crazy with it. And let's just say we're going to put $20,000 into it. Okay. To really get it up to that 285 marker there. And we'll go prove that. Did this change my contract price to my seller? Did not by a penny. I just made that shit up in my head. Didn't change my contract price. So you're not really serving yourself too much by having to go to those level of details when you stay in a place where there's super consistent data, right? You may have to go to those details. You may have to go to those measures, right? You don't have to do it every time. And that's what I see people getting hung up on. And yeah, I mean, I did randomly choose this in a zip code. I had no idea where this was actually located. I just literally clicked on the first property, went to Zillow, went under sold, copied the address on the first property that I clicked on in this zip code. With no idea, knowing that it's in Texas, knowing that it's a non-disclosure state, knowing that I get a lot of questions about that. Yes, we're in a fairly densely populated area. Yes, those comps are going to show themselves probably fairly easily. But I did that on purpose because I want to show you guys, you don't need to get hung up on the details when you have such consistent data. Now, say you're in a different situation, which we'll get to here in a minute. You're in a different situation. Let's just go ahead and talk about that. Do you need to potentially focus more on more details? Absolutely. But I am here to tell you that on a property just like this, on this specific property, I don't need anything. I have such consistent data Now, obviously, to underwrite it, I would need more information. I have no idea what kind of condition this house is in, what it looks like. Haven't looked it up. Probably not going to look it up. But because I'm just here to show you guys, don't overcomplicate it, but don't undercomplicate it, right? If you're sitting here going, okay, I want to look at this one that's at 285, and like, are you going to sit here and choose this one? Maybe not, because it's a 2-story little house. And then what does ours look like? A not 2-story little house. Oh, crap. Did I lose my stiffs? I sure did. Oh, there it is. We do have photos. Ooh. See what I'm saying? Technically speaking, this bugger could use, it's got some good floors compared to that other one, but the countertops, the new kitchen. So I think this was relisted and sold by Open Door. Ooh, what we'll do here in a minute is we'll go see what it actually sold for on the market and when. So that being said, where was I? That doesn't look like this property. Let's see. This one's active for 1 day at 290. 4-bedroom. So we would have to adjust down from this list price. Man, they sure don't mind those little laminate countertops here too. Floors are killer though in this one. I would imagine this one sells. Interesting. I would imagine this one sells, but see, this one is active, has an additional bedroom, etc. And let's see, not that bigger, much bigger on the square footage, and a good build year. So yeah, I mean, could you justify it up? But this is also not sold at that price. It's active at that price. So this is why I hesitate to tell you guys when you have good sold data. This one's listed 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, a little bit more square footage. Granite. This to me sells before the last one. It's also listed at 295. Doesn't mean sold. So, but you still have the average price per square foot on those deals is the same, putting you at about the same exact price as when you were not looking at active, pending, contingent properties. Does that hopefully make sense? And just for kicks and giggles, let's go look at this bad boy that's been listed for 100 years. No photos? Maybe she's not. Oh, did not get recorded correctly. Ho ho. Let's go look at these property details just for kicks and giggles. The comps are the same no matter what sale type it is. I'm not sure what you're asking there, if you're talking about MLS versus public records. It still says it's active. Did this agent just never take it down? $290. Estimated loan balance. Loan out for $302 in 2022. Something's funky going on with this one. So again, if you have enough data and you see something funky standing out about that, that might be why it says it's sold, is because it was sold in 2022. That might be why they had to like list it and leave it on the market until it sells at that price. Maybe they had to move and they just can't write a check to cover their payoff and pay realtors and so on and so forth. I should probably call them and see if they actually sold it and offer them a creative. maybe not, because I don't think the rent rate's going to do them any favors, but maybe. Anyways, so I hope you guys understand where I'm going with all of that, and that by digging further into it, you kind of see it never changed my numbers. Like, you're really sitting at that 280 mark when you go by price per square foot, no matter what I changed in that. And so again, I'm not saying you do that on every property. I'm going to open it up for you guys to, in just a minute, don't start flooding the chat. I'm going to open it up for you guys to leave a comment of a property. I will go with one, maybe two properties. Give me a property address, and I will pull a comp on it, and I will do it quickly. Okay. However, if it's a property that, don't ruin the whole show for everybody. If it's a property that I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth and do Q&A with you on trying to get that comp pulled, or if there's difficulty in doing that, I'm just going to move on to the next one. But give it a minute, because I want to go through this. Like, go ahead and pull your addresses up. Don't slap them in the comments yet. And again, I'll comp one for y'all, or two, depending on how long we have, because I'm probably going to get off of here in about 22 minutes. But I want to take the minute to just kind of go through, comp a couple of random ones for you guys, so you know for a fact, like, I have no cheat code. I'm doing it off a random address in the comments, and show you how I apply it in just a few minutes or less. Now that I've dug into all the details with you guys, we're all about, real-time transparency. No, like, I'm not making this shit up, and I'm willing to prove it. So yeah, I will get into that. So get your addresses ready, and I'll say 3, 2, 1, go before you post them in the comments. But I really quickly, while y'all are getting that ready, I want to see what this actually sold at. It failed on the market. I'm half tempted to pull this open on because this probably isn't reporting properly. I am half tempted. Really fast, I'm going to do it off screen because I'm not allowed to do it on screen. Oh, crap. What did I just do? Oh, man. Oof. Did I screw everything up in life? You guys still see everything? Yeah, you can. All right, I'm going to do this off screen where y'all can't see it. I'm going to pull up the MLS because in this scenario, this is one of those things where I am super curious. Not because I need this in order to do this, but I'm a curious gal. And I have access to it, but I just am not allowed to show you all that access. But the thing about some of this information, you guys, and what I want you to understand is that in a non-disclosure state, like, certain things can be pulled from, like, the local MLS still. But some of the data is protected data, and that's why sometimes if they're pulling certain data from public records, it might not be accurate. This might not be recorded yet, etc., etc. So while I pull that up, oh, good gravy. Hang in there with me. Select none. Closed. What's 300? Let's see what happened on this property. It closed at 275. Our subject property sold for 275. In this condition. Well, crap. Oh Man, if I show this, are they going to come for me? Let me just see what the photos look like. So they were those photos that were here. So this actually closed at 275 in this condition. So do you see how for me for it to close at 285, we needed to upgrade the countertops in all the places. They did paint like I wanted them to, and it does look so much better. It's really countertops. It looks like they put new flooring and carpet. Fixtures are clean. This is clean. So yeah, originally I put 275. I said it could be up to 280. Let's get funky with this. So let's just get crazy with it. Had I pushed it up to 280. Now, granted, I think this closed in, let's see when it closed. Contract date was 1/16/2025. The condition that it was in, you probably could have spent maybe $8,000 on some countertops. And yeah, you could have gone higher. But somebody's probably not going to do that. They're going to just go, I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm going to, clean it up and put, a little bit of budget in there for repairs. And then I'm going to sell it as is for $275 and do no work. So, all right, my loves. They originally listed it for $283. Just so y'all are aware. So this is also why I don't like to sit there and nitpick and try to add money to it. I'm super comfortable at 275 right there with just the consistent data that I had. Obviously I didn't have anything on the rehab, but that ARV, I'm guaranteeing, 275 all day. They're also probably trying to list it at, let's see when the original, how many days on market it went at. 90 days on market, 90 days on market to go at that. If I'm your buyer, I'm going to be trying to, if I'm your buyer, I'm going to be trying to list a little bit lower than my competition to move it fast. And I do mean faster than 90 days. All right. Everybody ready? You can now put in your properties that you would like me to comp. Hamza, I will see because you didn't follow instructions. If nobody else enters one, let's see. 130. Ugh. Let's do a couple of examples. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1192. Let's comp it in less than 5 minutes. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1192 square feet, 1985 build. Johnny. Da, 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 da. Cool. There's a lot of photos. Seems to be backing up to something. We look like we're in good shape. Let's get back on this. Waterway, no water access. Gonna have to make sure you keep an eye. I love how every time I do this on a live, y'all give me properties where I've got to dig into which one's a golf course lot or water access or it's funny. All right, so true to my word, probably not going to go down to properties 18 and 19. And probably could just go 0.25 miles, but I've got everything right here on my map. So because I know some of these are going to have like waterway access, I kind of just want to leave them all up and not filter this down by miles. Obviously the rent rates are there. We've got high, we've got low, we've got mid. Nope, that's going to be high. I'm doing exactly what I just told y'all I'm going to do. We've got very consistent data. Those seem low. So I would guess the reason those are lower is because in this area we get a lot of pools, lanais, etc. We got an average of 200 per square foot. And let's make sure, hopefully, God willing. Yeah, they're all 2.2s. Lots newer build years. Oof. We might have to get persnickety and take some of those out. None of them have pools according to this. I don't believe that. This is one where you end up having to look through photos. Guaranteed. All right, let's get back to these build years. I think that's going to be important. That's a duplex. 2004 and 1972. I may not have to. Oh, that's a condo. Are they? Oh, shoot, dog. Oh, shoot, dog. I totally missed that. I got any more condos selected? It's really not changing my number so far, so that's good. The mobile home. It's all weird. Yeah, really not changing my numbers, so that's a good thing. Sometimes I will not do this, and in fact, actually, on our implementation call for Titanium University earlier, we had a great example of why you don't filter it out. But after going through the data, I'm more than happy to filter it out where it's just the single family homes that we're dealing with here. And then part of the reason I don't do that is because then I have to go refilter, and I already have my data selected, right? I'm looking for the most likely scenario. The fact, wow. I mean, I've got pretty consistent data. I'm not even tripping over this. I think, in my opinion, right off the cuff, 1192 square feet, the first thing I'm going to do without even looking into the property is I would assume at minimum we're going to be at 208 in general. Yeah. I would say it's probably going to end up being around that 250 mark without. Nah, it'll be higher. 260 probably. I would say there's probably something going on. It's 260. There's probably something going on with this one that made it sell for 240 a little bit. I would just say this is going to be a 260 all day because it's on the smaller side compared to most of these comps. And then the one that you have that's in like closest square footage, I would go look in and dig into all those photos really quickly. Chrissy, I hope you're still with us. And oh, I already did that. I hope that makes sense. So one of the first ones I'm going to actually look at and make sure that the properties that I have selected. This is over here. It's not on the water. 265. That's property number 6. It is on the water. So I might be more conservative. Number 5 is on the water. Number 3 is on the water. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Number 7 have water? No. 265. I still feel like that it's actually really consistent. So maybe the water isn't that much of a benefit here because of their little ponds or whatever, and maybe the whole neighborhood has access. Number 1 and 2 do not have direct water, it does not seem. But those are seemingly potentially different kinds of properties. And did it say there's a pool? It didn't even say there's a pool on those. And they look to have pools. So this is maybe one of those scenarios where it would be good to go active, pending. Y'all notice how I'm not digging into them photos yet? Pending at 285. Let's see how many. Ooh. This pending fast. That's a good thing. Let's dig into this bugger. Yeah. Look at that lanai. Look at that pool. Look at all that stuff. With the water access. This is good water access. Definitely not making me go higher. I mean, we have room for a pool probably. We have room for a pool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little bit more on the conservative side just because I don't have the water access. And maybe that is what it pushed it down to 240. If we go look through this. Retro. This thing is in pretty good shape. This thing is in pretty good shape. So yeah, I'm pulling my ARV down and being very conservative on that, if that makes sense. Where's number 17 on here? Do. Yeah, she's way over here. What do we have? More square footage, less square footage. That's the one that's really got me feeling like more confident, but it's also across in that subdivision, little subdivision area. And this is where it ends up taking maybe a little bit longer because you just want to be safe rather than sorry. This This thing is active at 360. What the heck? 206 days on market. No kidding. Because you're cray. Somebody either did not vet their client out or did not vet their realtor out very well. What do you got? A pool and a lanai. And your rental. Son of a gun. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would probably end up feeling a little bit more comfortable around the 255 mark. Or maybe even man, this has water access, even though it doesn't have, or it doesn't look to have like that pool. Seems like that might not be the biggest deal in the world to some people in this neighborhood. And you'll find that sometimes like it's not really changing the data where it has the water access or not, where it has the pool or not. But I definitely would feel like you could even be so conservative as to put it as 250, especially because of the lower square footage. That could be the kicker, right? Without knowing more about the property. But I definitely would be more conservative than that 260 number just for the fact of the water access. Because your buyers are probably going to do the same thing, even though you have that consistent data proving that even without the water access, they're selling at that price point. You also have a couple that do have the water access that are selling at like the 255, whatever. So I would stick with it. It is a little bit on the smaller side, so that price per square foot can actually help you in that regard. But I would still be safe in assessing the fact that I'd be a little bit more conservative because of that water access thing. So there you have. Do the non-waterfront properties have easements to the water? I don't know. Not more than like easement. How? Like they all probably have access to that water in that entire neighborhood is usually what happens, I guess. 8893 Habersham Drive, Jonesboro. All right, guys. I'm going to do one more. And if it's quick, maybe I'll even stay on longer than I said I would, just because I love doing this with y'all. And it's been so long since I've gotten to not going to really talk as much through this one. Just so I can do it super fast. And y'all can see it in action. No, that's not what I said. Three two 1727 1982. Probably really going to end up focusing in right here on these, despite the distance. I would assume newer builds might be over there. And in this case, I'm going to have plenty of data. So I'm going to do a little quick trick that I like to do to speed my stuff up. It's crazy. Look how I knew that. All the new builds were over there. So I'm going to focus on the properties right here. So now do you guys see why like sometimes I don't want to tell you to over filter stuff? I want you to understand the market. I want you to understand the map. I want you to look at the data before you get crazy. Look at all those beautiful comps that we have. I mean, this seems fantastic. Thank you, Central. I'm going with I've got a lot of 240 and up. I kind of want to see what those look like. Especially because we have consistent data in the lower 200s and the in the mid 200s, and then we've got a couple of doozies up there at 275, 285. I'm going to go ahead and assume you could run numbers both ways. A little bit of work in the lower 200s, more work mid 200s. So either that or we did have a fairly unique exterior. Goodness gracious. I've ever told y'all this is so much harder to do whenever you're doing it live. I've got around, I'd say that's probably going to end up being fairly accurate right around here. On this one, this is where I'm going to start digging into. I've got this bad boy selected, and I shouldn't. I'm going to probably try to do it right here. That is not like our house. That is a lot like our house. 2.5 more square footage. Updated. This is a lot like us. Which one was that? This one? Oof. I was fairly updated. So why did this one sell at 285? They couldn't even put the toilet seat down. Might be that exterior remodel. Or let's get crazy. Let's just see what this does. We're looking at MLS only right now. Could go out and look at those. I think our exterior is not going to help us. Yeah, and I definitely, no garage. That's awful. Sorry. But I guarantee that sucker is remodeled and on a big old beautiful lot. And maybe people there won't care. People here in Texas care about that stuff. They've done a great job like with that remodel. So I definitely don't think we're going to compete with that. Why this one sold here? Don't ask me. I can't 100% tell yet. And I need to look at the lot sizes again. This needs updating. So this is more of one of those, like I would assume, as in need of remodeling And this one sold at, where'd she go? 204. So we know 204 is going to be really low for an ARV, or this might be more the as is. We have consistent lot sizes, so that's good. I'm no longer really worried about that. I still feel like, once again, like we're not up in the 280, but we're not at 215 like some of those lower ones. So I'm still feeling good in this mid level. We already looked for, like, we can go out and look for photos of that one on Duke, Fieldstone, la la la. I'm trying to just quickly do this. Now this sucker needs remodeled. On the outside, she's fairly clean. On the inside, maybe some updates to maybe some carpets. I don't know what that is. So that one was 245. So I'm thinking I'm really starting to love this 260 area. I don't love that. It's a very different style of house. The list price, though, is something I would go check. Oh, are we going to have finished basements in some of these? And that's why they're making the difference, that are not part of the square footage. So that's something you are going to have to dig into, because I don't want to stay on here for 8 years. I love you, mean it. It's in that property details, but sometimes it's not accurately reported. It might not be a finished ranch rambler. Sometimes in these areas, you can kind of tell this is probably not likely to have it because of the shape and style of like the home. With, how do I explain this in words? Let me take the extra minutes to explain this. One, you're gonna like see basement windows. Two, a lot of times, as you could tell on one of those, wherever it went, it had, let's see if that was that one. When they're like kind of in a hill like that, and they're like kind of built into a hill, and you can like do the street view and go back. Let's see if this was the one. This wasn't the one. I don't see windows. They might be on the side, but let me, where was that one? Shoot, I keep clicking on that one. Where was it? I'm gonna click on the same dang old one again, aren't I? Oh, God bless it. Anyways, I think y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spend 8 years on it. I keep clicking on the same damn properties. What was that one? This one? That one. Okay, obviously from photos you can tell this is like basement. I don't know how much of a full basement or whatever it is, but you can kind of see where the windows go out. And see how like part of the house is like built into a hill. If you were to go to the street view of this, dang, that's not much unfinished basement. And I can almost guarantee you it's like what's behind this. But you see how part of the house is built into the hill there? I would imagine that's part of the square footage. So maybe you're not having to deal with too much of that. And so I would double check it for the sake of being in good shape. But the thing about this is I feel like this exterior finish is going to impact this property. So I would spend this extra time to go in here and like look for comps. I think this one had said it sold at 240. So I would almost make sure I don't go too much out of those 240s. Just off the cuff here. I mean, I know this doesn't look exactly like ours. And when you go to that street view, you know, you have this wood siding. Siding update might do this a whole lot of good visually. Some people might like it, and it might not be a huge factor. But I would still say you're going to land in that 240 mark. You've got kind of like a lot of different styles of homes right there. And I would keep it more conservative versus the other way around to be on the safe side. And like stick in, double check. No garage. Interesting little thing. I think that supports things. It probably remodeled fairly well. That makes me feel better about 245. But definitely I can guarantee you already just from the data in and of itself, you start to get in those 270s. You don't even really got to look for, like, it's just not the same kind of property, if that makes sense. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more. Richardson. Sorry, I am so slow on this computer because I'm so just not used to the keyboard and stuff. Oh, dog, you really doing this? You're going to do this without me being able to use my MLS, huh? MB, Mercedes-Benz. You got a big old problem here, folks. I think Mercedes-Benz, aka MB, is trying to test to see if I practice what I preach. We got us backing up to like a 90-lane road right here, which is probably only like a 6-lane road. That is a problem. You're going to have issues. I don't want to be listening to cars crashing through my fence while I'm sleeping. Like, I think about this. People think of, oh, shoot, dog. What did I just do? I clicked on something. Yeah, there's a reason this is a brick fence back here. Because screw that. There's also no covered parking or garage. They probably once had a garage. Maybe they do if you drive around back. But it doesn't look like it. Maybe they added this onto the house. Maybe there is a garage back there. Something I would look into. Just to let you know. Us Texans, if you're not from Texas, we love our covered parking. We get hail. Why did I close out of that? Y'all notice how I haven't really gone on the Google or on the Zillow yet? It does say it has an attached garage, so I'd verify that information because it don't look like it does from the street view. It looks like they killed it. Maybe it wasn't permitted. All right, so here's an example, my loves. You're definitely going to have to screw this all up. All right. Lord willing. We got nothing. We got nothing that's in the same condition. It's going to be a major issue. So I'm going to try to go back another 6 months because I've got to get something. That's sold on Campbell. Whoops. I didn't mean to go 11 miles out. I got to get something that is... Oh, I'm not going to do that. Backing up to this busy road. If I've got no data. Why is this not? We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Well, at least with this one, the lot, it kind of touches Campbell, but it's not even as bad as ours. Our backyard, we're butted right up to a super busy road. I don't like it. I don't invest in properties like this. Doesn't mean nobody will. Just means I think they're stupid if they do, because you can't assess what the market is going to do to you to eat up your holding costs and your closing costs, and you don't have a burden of proof that the market's willing to buy properties quickly. And this one's fairly clean. It's what I would use as my comp, and I really would not jack with anything else on it. This could probably appraise faster, but the market is going to chew it up and spit it out. I would stay conservative right there at 500,000 and move on with my life. I hate to say it, but I'm definitely not, like, if I'm on the phone with this seller, I'm definitely not even, I'm not investing in this property. I will not close on it unless, like, they are literally willing to sell it to me at an extreme discount. I'm going to get extremely conservative on my rehab. I am going to, like, and I do mean extreme, and I'm going to list it very low. I'm probably going to list it lower than anything is sold in this neighborhood that I can pull up in the last whatever. You know, I mean, even actually, what's really crazy about that is I pulled that one at 500. We've got some sitting here, depending on the condition that it's in. I would maybe even go and use these. Now, these might be trashed out. They might not. I mean, this is clean. I'm wondering if this actually sold at this. I'd have to look that up on the MLS and see if it's resold. I would go with the lowest comp in the neighborhood and then be conservative from that. No lies detected here, my friends. Let me actually do this. That's why I did that. Okay. Out of these right here, yeah, we've got one at 305. I don't know if that's right. I dig into that one. We got one at 329, 350. I'd really dig into those and figure those out, and I wouldn't go a penny. I wouldn't invest in this property. I honestly wouldn't even wholesale it. I would run the numbers as if you got a. I don't know. Depends on the seller situation, how much I dig into this, but I absolutely hate this. You don't have comps. I know you have comps in that neighborhood. I know that it will appraise for something. Seems like you've got to. $22.38. I'd figure out the garage. I guess if you have to. There's not really a way for me to accurately comp that. You know what I mean? I go with this one maybe on 825 Vinecrest as a burden of proof. I get super low. Why is that square footage showing so differently? Oh, because I went to freaking 0. Ugh, I really screwed up our lives, didn't I? $420 and go from there. But yeah, I mean, unless the seller is extremely motivated and you get it at an extreme discount, this one's not super updated. But I can tell you what, I buy this and remodel it myself all day if I'm shopping in this neighborhood versus being butted up against that. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. For a remodeled one, I didn't really look at this one. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I wouldn't assume that this is going to even sell at 500. I'd assume remodeled like 475. No garage, 465. Like at least. I don't like the deal. You're gonna have to get it super locked up. Let's just do a quick little exercise before I go because I hear my dogs barking in the other room, which means I need to get off this call because nobody's with them, and they probably need to go outside. Um, let's just say max possibility. Now we are talking max. What kind of condition are they saying it's in? Is it remodeled like the one that sold at 500, or is it outdated like the one that sold at 400 something? Justin, it's automatically set on PropStream. I would start with 200 over, 200 under, 250 over, 250 under. And you just got to figure it out. Sometimes that will throw you off. MB, you got 3 seconds to tell me how much is it outdated or remodeled on the inside? And you need a cosmetic or not? 3, 2. Technology is failing you. Well, let's just assume it does need a full cosmetic on the inside. And we'll just go from there. I am putting in a fat wholesale fee. Why? Because this is going to be a mother Hubbard to find a buyer willing to buy this. I would say if you are going to wholesale this deal, you need to be extremely conservative on all of your numbers. And this is the absolute max a buyer that you will have a hard time finding will pay for that property. It is in Richardson, Texas. You are being conservative across the board. They don't owe that much on the property. I would get as low as you could go, but that is the max I would assume you could go. That's just me saying. If it needs full cosmetic on the interior, the fact that it has no garage, goofy covered parking, I don't know what kind of backyard shenanigans are going on there. I would potentially, this could even be 425. It is a lot of square footage. It does at least have a brick wall in there. Somebody will buy it to be in that neighborhood or that school district at that square footage at some point. But for an investor who is your buyer, they are going to be less and less inclined. I do not buy houses that have backup to stuff like that. I've done it before and it bites me in the ass every time, even when I am conservative. So you need to be extremely conservative if you expect a buyer to be there and wholesale that stuff, simply because, and I get people all the time, y'all, that try to tell me, oh, you're just being super aggressive. And somebody told me just take $35,000 off if it's no. I am telling you that your buyers in most markets, now Richardson, Texas, you have less issues, possibly, just because of the market. But the end of the day, you want to give plenty of room for extra holding costs. You want to get extra conservative. That's why I say I'd almost max say that's going to sell at 450. It will likely appraise for higher than that. The market is the one thing that'll get you on this one, and your buyers are going to not take that risk. If you want to get a buyer to take that risk, you're going to, and it doesn't have a garage on top of it, which they sit on the market longer. But it's Richardson, Texas. Somebody will eventually buy it at a lower price point, just depending on what kind of condition it's in. Like, this is one of those ones where it's just like, I hate it when I see properties like this and then you see a realtor listing it for $550 when it needs work on the inside, and it's just like, oh no way, dude. So 926 Finecrest, I don't know, bro. Again, is that one backing up to, I don't really, I'm not even here to take that much time to comp any of this. Isn't that your subject property? I don't understand. Maybe that I'm getting a delayed message. You said it has no garage. Yeah, I'm saying how much rehab does it need. But anyways, guys, I love you. I thank you for sticking with me today. I thank you for taking the time to go through some fast comping tactics, how you can focus so much on the data, click through the photos faster, spend more time on that data, guys. That's where I see most people failing. Make sure your subject properties can look like the other properties before you're just going and cherry picking the highest numbers you can find and assuming that with making it, yeah, MB, that's it. Like, you need to be real conservative on that. When will I go live again? I don't know. I do spend a lot of my time doing this with, in a lot more detail, doing this work in Titanium University with my family in there. And so that's why I don't really do this live and in public very often. So even if I do go live more, if I do more of this, it's probably not going to be very often. or it's going to be different topics that the industry needs to see. So I definitely don't have a scheduled date in the future to go live on YouTube covering this topic anytime soon. Love y'all, mean it, but I got to focus on more than comps, and I am putting other things out there to try to help you guys with that. So love you, mean it. Get titanium profits if you can't wait. Just saying. Cosmetic lipstick 77 is what I had. For full interior cosmetic. You didn't have to get luxury, it didn't look like to me. Anyways, I love y'all. I got to go for the day. It was wonderful getting to spend time with you. The plan is to have a lot more of Cassie more often. So hopefully I will see all of you again very soon. I'm getting there one day at a time. And yeah, definitely check out email. I'll check that email for the whole application to join the team. And we'll see you guys next time.